I'm Dan Rain, and I love what I do. For 30 years, I've connected farmers with their customers, and I've competed in the World Food Championships. My team has made it to the top 6 in the world. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the farmers who grow your food and show you where your food comes from. This is going to be a wild adventure! Today, I'm going to introduce you to Deborah Olson, California's Cherry Queen. Her grandmother ran the landmark fruit stand in Sunnyvale, California in the 1950s, and Deborah's been in the cherry business since she was a kid. Deborah has built her company into a successful mail order and delivery business with many celebrities as her clients. No one knows cherries like Deborah.
Love the enjoyment that cherries give to people is probably the number one enjoyment, and probably the second right after would be the camaraderie and the relationships that I've forged, people like Andy at Andy's Orchard, and the growers statewide in the Northwest and in the Southern Hemisphere. So those two really keep me passionate and excited about what I do.
Deborah says she's also come across some consumer misconceptions.
The consumer really doesn't know that there are all these different varieties out there, that they all have their distinct flavors. And obviously there are going to be some varieties that are better than other varieties, and I felt that was part of my job, especially when I had my landmark fruit stand in Sunnyvale, California for many, many, many years when my grandmother started it in the 50s, and I thought it very important to explain to the consumer that all these different cherries have a different part of the season.
Deborah had to pivot her cherry business model when her grandmother passed away. She watched as urban sprawl claimed the farmland all around her. She now sources some of her cherries from Chile.
I remember like it was yesterday. Our valley was called the Santa Clara Valley.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was Silicon Valley. And first of all, I had no idea what silicone was. So I just saw all these changes coming, and the demographics of the area started to change. And a lot of our customers started moving away, and hence the mail order business.
This year, heavy rains impacted the entire cherry crop, pushing back production. Deborah remembers when it happened to her father long ago.
I'll never forget the time it rained on this beautiful crop. And so both of us had tears in our eyes. And of course, the next day it stopped and the damage was done. And we tried to salvage the crop the best we could, but we had a job to do, and that job was to get the fruit, ripe fruit off the trees and get them sorted and then get them to the marketplace at the fruit stand. And my job was to sell, sell, sell.
Another farm expert I had the pleasure of visiting was Andy Mariani from Andy's Orchard. He's an expert in growing all types of stone fruit like cherries. He's one of the few remaining farmers in the valley.
Well, I grew up on the farm here, and we've been here for 60 years. We moved here in the late 50s, and we grew primarily prunes and apricots.
How many different varieties do you grow on this farm?
I think there's at least 300 between the cherries and the apricots, peaches, nectarines, plums.
Andy is known for his knowledge of heirloom plants. He has one of the largest collections of stone fruit varieties on the West Coast.
Well, heirloom is basically a catch-all category for varieties that are older. Oftentimes they're harder to grow, but because a lot of the varieties were chosen for flavor in the past, they tend to have more flavor in general.
So how do you really maximize the flavor? You know, when consumers buy your fruit, how do you kind of differentiate? How do you make sure that yours is the very best?
We'll go around the tree maybe a half dozen times and just pick the fruits at its prime. You know, the last few days that fruit hangs on the tree, that's when it develops the most in flavor and sugar content. And so the average consumer who's buying supermarket fruit is really getting shortchanged in terms of flavor.
Another one of Andy's passions is the Ugly Fruit program. If a fruit isn't perfect, it still has a purpose, for example, being in ice cream or beer.
You know, there's a nick or a pinch or a scab or something like that, a little deformity, but they still have the same eating quality. And so we sell those, and we sell a lot to the ice cream makers, and because they just macerated anyway, and same with the beer. We sell pretty much everything that we grow, including the secondary fruit.
What you may not know are all the health benefits associated with cherries. Not only are they loaded with nutrients like vitamin C or potassium, but they're also a good source of fiber. And they're also rich in anti-inflammatory compounds. Research shows cherries may help relieve exercise-induced muscle pain and inflammation, say from pickleball or tennis. The best way to enjoy the fruits of your labor is to share it with your friends. So tonight, we're throwing a cherry-themed dinner party. I'm cooking with my friend, Chef Wendy Brody. She was my teammate as we competed in the World Food Championships, making it to the top 10.
The gift of cooking is really just that. It's a gift of your soul to others. Don't know why I'm getting emotional, but it is.
I'm getting emotional.
It's such a loving thing to do, and I love it when I'm having other people's food.
I've known Wendy for so many years that I knew she could handle my latest request. I'm challenging her to use cherries in each course tonight while I create a specialty cocktail, a cherry mojito. So Wendy, you've incorporated cherries into the main entree. Can you share a little bit more about the preparation?
Well, I love using pork with fruit. It just marries very well together. I think you'll love the taste.
I can't wait to try it.
And oh, by the way, I need to get started on that. Why don't you go and have fun, and I'll get started in the kitchen.
Before things got too busy, I had enough time to explore the area and find out what's so great for families in this part of California. What I discovered was this unusual place in Santa Clara County, the Gilroy Ostrich Farm. Oh, look at all those eggs. I feel like it's Easter. Yes. Oh, you're hungry too. Well, there's plenty for everyone. I do feel like a farmer. And maybe you're going to make me a sweater. Come here. Come here. I'd like to take you home. Hey, come on. Oh my God. Nice, they're sharing. Sharing is caring. Oh, look at you. Hi. So here I have a giant ostrich egg, the equivalent of 2 dozen eggs, enough to feed 15 people. So this egg is so fresh. It was just laid today by a giant ostrich who also danced with me. Are you gonna do a waltz with me? Do a little foxtrot? All right. We're visiting Rana Nursery today, a hub of landscape architects dedicated to creating sustainable farming and urban environments. Marta is here to discuss her exciting vision for the future.
We're a team of architects, landscape architects, designers, planners, horticulturists, and so our mission is to make it seem like we were never here in our design work. We complete about 150 projects, design projects a year. We grew all the plants for Facebook, all of Facebook's headquarters. And so we've really found a niche in contract growing.
How many different varieties are you growing here at this nursery?
1,500 different species
1,500.
of plants we're growing here. That sounds really impressive, but we started here with just one small shade house. Another really exciting project that is really stretching our capacity for master planning is everybody's talking about climate change, and we're really coming at it from climate adaptation. So we're working on some of the first climate adaptive projects here in Northern California. We're thinking about what will this park look like in 25 years when sea levels are projected to rise. I think it's about looking at the entire subject, but then picking your passion. and seeing where you can make a difference. I also think if enough people work on solutions across all sectors, I think we will be okay, and that's what is inspiring to me. And we're showing with all of these little projects that it is possible to do things in a better way.
When cherry trees begin to blossom in the springtime, farmers are not the only ones inspired. I went to visit my artist friend Simon Bull to see his cherry paintings. His art has been viewed by more than 1 million Instagram followers. In 2019, Simon was the official artist for the National Cherry Blossom Festival in Washington, D.C. I asked him why he loves to paint cherry blossoms.
I used to go out into my garden and sit in the flowers, and I would sit and draw them all day long. I found out something beautiful about flowers. I'd found that flowers grow in family groups. Flowers have families, and so they're wonderful metaphors for human life. The cherry blossom, it lasts just a very short period of time, but when the petals drop, we lament that moment, but really it's a necessary step towards cherries. But even beyond the cherry, there's something that's more valuable to the tree than the cherry. That's the seed in the cherry, right?
Right.
And so then the seed itself, when that falls into the ground, there's another tree inside of it. That's what I love about the cherry blossoms. Everything in life has meaning and has purpose and is going in a specific direction. But when we look at the eternal cycles that God has written into nature, we can have a greater confidence that, no, you know what, moving forward is good.
You so speak to my soul. And I can imagine that you speak to millions of people through your artwork.
So Dan, like there's one little thing that I wanted to do for you before I go, but I thought, how about you add like a little cherry blossom painting to your collection?
I love it.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Come on, let's go have a ride. You want to join me in the car?
I would love it.
Put your earplugs in.
God, we're going so fast! Another artist I had to invite to dinner was Stephen Bruce, who works with children.
So many schools don't have art programs. I was fortunate to go to a school where we could have art. But I go into schools sometimes, you know, where art is like once a week or once a month. So supporting art in communities that, you know, that are underserved is huge. We put together a program. It was an after-school program. It was the first one I did, I think, in 2009. And the students were able to come in the classroom, experiment with some pieces of metal, use some household acids like pickle juice and hot sauce. And,
Wow,
you know,
pickle juice.
Yeah, and
That's an odd one.
And create color using, you know, some household chemicals on metal. Every class there's an opportunity. And somebody asked me, they said, do you know how many children you're going to touch doing this? And I looked at them, I said, you know, I'm having so much fun, I hadn't even thought about the kids yet. I like to tell students there are no rules in art, and there's no mistakes. A mistake becomes a new process. And my mother used to say, everything is for you. So everything out there is yours. You know, don't allow somebody to tell you what you can and cannot do. Just explore it. And the universe will tell you whether you can or can't.
I find Wendy is full of advice. She says sometimes the best lessons are learned from mistakes. What are some of the tips and tricks that you can share with our home chef?
You can improvise and switch it out. For instance, purple potatoes were printed on the menu. We didn't have purple potatoes, so we used beet juice and cooked the potatoes in that, and it was gorgeous.
Brilliant.
And so I was able to use that for an Easter magazine shoot where we cooked the potatoes in saffron and all different colors to look like an Easter basket. So these are some of the fun lessons that happen.
I love it, and you know purple's my favorite color. Team Purple Rain.
Who knew?
Wendy, what are you going to cook for us tonight?
You wanted the asparagus bundles. You like that idea. So if you don't mind, I need your help on doing a few more, but the platter that we can add it to is in the fridge.
In the fridge?
Yeah.
All right, I'll get it. Oh, I love asparagus. They're so pretty. I love those little
Aren't they
bundles.
fun? When you've got a big group like we have tonight, we're going to be bundling these quickly and plating them up.
Okay.
So the more you can have done ahead, so we'll have one portion already done for each person.
All right.
So take about 6 together.
All right.
And these are blanched chives, and you can just wrap it around like that and they'll hold. And I just made a few more for all the extra guessing with it.
I can't help it.
And then you had asked me what else I do with
Yes.
the asparagus. I save all the skins, I peel them, and then I deep fry them so you get the nutrition of the skins.
Nice.
But, you know, I'm sure the oil doesn't hurt that much.
Right.
And then I have some society garlic flowers mixed in because I know how
I
you
love purple.
Yes.
That's gorgeous.
So then we're just going to sprinkle, so I'll let you sprinkle a few on there.
So how artistic.
That
That is so gorgeous.
So that's perfect. That's
right.
perfect.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's
All right.
great.
My guests will love it.
You're sure about that?
I'm sure. I'm ready for a party, so let's
Okay.
do it. So we're gonna make Dan's favorite cherry mojito. So let's start with some cherries. So let's put maybe 8 pitted cherries in each glass.
Ooh.
Now we're gonna take the mint, put 8 leaves in your hand, and then you're gonna slap that hand to release those oils, and then you're gonna put that in the glass. So I'll do the same
Okay.
thing with the other glass. So just slap it. All right.
Whoops, that wasn't a good sound.
All
there.
right. Slap it. All right, put it in the glass. Take that reamer, turn it upside down, and use it as a muddler.
Oh, what a good idea.
Right? Multi-use. Okay, so I'm
Okay,
gonna do
that's
mine
important.
now.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. So I think that's muddle. Okay, so now what we want to do, get your hands into that ice and I'm ready for a cocktail. I'm thirsty.
Tell me how much is that enough?
A little bit more. This is such a beautiful cocktail. So now I'm gonna just take some, sparkling water. I've got a little bit of lime juice I'm gonna pour over the top. So, I like to leave out the simple syrup, but you know what? What I'm not gonna leave out is the rum. So, throw some rum in there. Look at that beautiful red color. Cheers, my friend.
Thank you.
And of course, Deborah is making her world-famous cherry pie. She prefers a homemade crust, and her secret ingredient is adding a touch of almond extract to the cherry mixture to make the sweetness of the cherries pop. Deborah, welcome to my hacienda. Thrilled to have you here.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for inviting me. I am so excited to share to you and to your audience how to make a fabulous cherry pie.
Well, let's get started.
We need to pit the cherries with my handy cherry pitter.
Nice.
Most people can buy this online, but everybody has a jar at home, which makes it very simple. So you take your cherry and you take the stem off, and you want to put this part of the cherry up to this apparatus here, and you just push the button, and voila. So you're going to go ahead and put the sugar and the flour in the bowl.
All right, perfect. Nice.
Alrighty, and the cherries
Okay.
go right on.
Do you want me to add this in too?
Yep.
Perfect. All right.
Alrighty.
And then just add the cherries. Voila. Oh, this looks so good. So just kind of mix up the flour.
Mix up the flour and the
All right.
sugar,
Nice.
and just let it set.
Now, why do you add the flour in with the cherries?
The flour is going to be the thickener for the filling.
Okay. All right.
And it's just a tried and true recipe I've used all my life, and it seems to work, and it's always delicious.
We're gonna have a big, beautiful, overflowing cherry pie.
Absolutely.
Enough for our fabulous dinner party tonight, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yum.
Since I was so excited to meet other artists that Dan has put together, I thought it would be really great if we surprised Dan with our own drawing techniques or painting techniques. So if you would help me do some plates. I'm taking the Jackson Pollock approach on this.
I'll go next.
Okay. Ooh.
Okay, so I'm going to do one of my little cherry blossom branches.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, gorgeous.
And then I'll just like spatter a few little blossoms around the place. I can't let people eat off that. That's for sale right now.
Oh my God, I'm so thrilled to see you guys tonight. Thank you so much. We're gonna have an epic party.
Yeah.
Ching, ching, darling.
Cheers, cheers. Cheers, cheers.
Steven. Simon, here you go. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Wendy. That's delicious. Everything just came so beautifully together, and just all the different palettes.
Well, the problem is with this incredible meal is like, it looked like a work of art, but I was so hungry I had to kind of destroy it. I hope you don't mind, but I started with the cherries.
Can we do this again tomorrow?
The one thing I've observed, the farmers I've met over the years share two common traits: resilience and hope.
It continues, and it's getting bigger and better and much more gratifying, if that's even possible.